Well, the defense team is not here to lose, hindi ba? So, binuo kami, we only have one target. It's not just to win, but actually to show the general public and the people of the Philippines na walang katiwalian, na walang katotohanan sa mga ikangay katiwalian na binabato sa ating Vice Presidente. And that's what we're here for. We're here to protect the rights of our client, and we're here to show the evidence, to present the evidence, to test the evidence of the prosecution, and to show the Filipino people na hindi korap ang ating Vice Presidente at walang katiwaliang ginawa ang ating Vice Presidente sa kanyang termino.
Good day po sa lahat, si Fiscal EJ po ito. Ang akala ng marami, para mapatunayan ng ill-gotten wealth, kailangan mahuli ang isang opisyal na tumatanggap ng suhol o aktwal na nagnanakaw sa kaban ng bayan. Hindi ganyan gumagana ang batas. At ito ang madalas hindi naiintindihan ng publiko. Often, corruption is not proven by catching someone in the act. Kadalasan, it can be established by showing disproportionate wealth. Ito ay yaman na mukhang hindi maipaliwanag batay sa legal na kinikita ng isang opisyal. In other words, you prove that the wealth does not make sense. Today, pag-uusapan natin kung paano ba nakikita ng batas ang ill-gotten wealth at bakit ang SALN can actually become one of the strongest evidentiary tools against corruption. Because contrary to what many people think, a corruption case does not always begin with a bribe. Sometimes it begins with a question. Saan nanggaling ang yaman na iyan? Now, unahin natin ang foundation. Ano nga ba talaga ang SALN at bakit napakahalaga nito? Because many people reduce the SALN to mere paperwork. Parang compliance form lang. Parang annual bureaucratic requirement. Pero hindi po. Under RA 6713, the SALN or Statement of Assets, Liabilities and Net Worth is a sworn declaration. Sinusumpaan iyan. Meaning, hindi lang basta form na pinapasa, may legal significance iyan. Diyan dinideclare ng isang opisyal ang kanyang assets, liabilities, net worth, pati cash on hand at cash in bank. And in simple terms, the SALN functions as a financial x-ray. Parang snapshot ng yaman ng isang public official. A baseline, a benchmark. It is effectively the official telling the public, ito ang yaman ko, ito ang hawak ko, ito ang totoo kong financial position. At yan ang dahilan kung bakit napakahalaga ng SALN. Because that is where the legal analysis starts. Now here is where it gets more interesting. What happens if the SALN says one thing, but reality appears to say another? What if the declared wealth does not match the actual assets? What if bank records tell a very different story? Diyan pumapasok ang tinatawag na disproportionate wealth standard under RA 1379. And this doctrine is powerful because the law does not always require the state to prove corruption peso by peso. Hindi kailangang matrace bawat sentimo ng ninakaw. Sometimes the law asks a much simpler but more devastating question. Paano mo na-afford yan? That is the doctrine. If your assets are manifestly out of proportion to your lawful income, the law may treat that discrepancy itself as a legal problem requiring explanation. Sa madaling sabi, kung ito lang ang legal mong kita, paano ka nagkaroon ng ganitong kalaking yaman? That is the heart of disproportionate wealth. Now let's apply that framework to the case of BP Sara. Sa mga isiniwalat sa House Justice Committee hearings, there were revelations by the Anti-Money Laundering Council that her bank records reportedly showed a total of 4.4 billion in cash inflows, while only 1.5 billion flowed out. Now, basic arithmetic tells us that leaves roughly 2.9 billion remaining. Pause and think about that. 2.9 billion. Now, here is where the issue becomes legally significant. Because for several years, particularly from 2019 to 2024, it was revealed that her SALNs reflected no cash on hand or cash in bank. And naturally, a serious question arises. Nasaan sa SALN ang 2.9 billion? And let me be clear po, that question by itself is not yet an accusation of guilt. Hindi pa yan finding of corruption. That is a demand for explanation. And this point is crucial. Large bank transactions alone do not automatically prove corruption. Let me repeat that. Big transactions are not automatically guilt. Money moves. Funds circulate. Amounts can be transferred multiple times. The same money can move repeatedly. So transaction volume alone does not equal ill-gotten wealth. But when billions move through accounts, when billions appear to remain, and when those figures seem inconsistent with sworn SALN declarations, that raises what lawyers would call an unexplained wealth issue. And that is where legal scrutiny begins. Notice carefully what the law is doing here. The law is not immediately saying that money was stolen. No, the law is saying something narrower but powerful. There appears to be disproportionality, explain it. And if the gap between lawful income and actual wealth cannot be satisfactorily explained, that unexplained portion can become the basis for treating assets as potentially ill-gotten or unlawfully acquired. And now you see why the SALN matters so much. To repeat, hindi ito ordinaryong form, hindi ito bureaucratic ritual. It is the public's anti-corruption measuring stick. Through the SALN, we can detect sudden enrichment. Dito makikita kung may hindi tugma, dito makikita kung may posibleng tinatago, and very often, dito nagsisimulang mabuo ang kaso. Because many corruption investigations do not begin with a bribe caught on camera. They begin with numbers that do not add up. So next time someone says, wala namang nahuling nagnakaw, so paano mo nasabing ill-gotten wealth yan? You now know that is not necessarily how the law works. Because often, the decisive anti-corruption question is not, may ninakaw ba? The harder and more dangerous legal question is, if this was lawfully earned, where did it come from? And that is the essence of the disproportionate wealth standard. So yan lang po ang nais kong ibahagi today, and see you in my next video. Maraming salamat po.